and surrender to the magnificence of your being. The awakening you crave is a function of the inner life. It can never be realized through circumstances, relationships, or accomplishments. In other words, you cannot find true satisfaction outside of fulfilling your highest destiny, realization of your oneness with Spirit. I want you to wake up today. If you believe that you will be complete after you find the right relationship, the better job, a bigger house, the hotter investment, the accomplishment of a particular goal, you're asleep in the human dream of Maya, which is the sleep of delusion. Any such fulfillment is only temporary. The quest of looking for wholeness outside of yourself is not the way it works. It's an inside job. Failure to recognize the true nature of your life's quest creates a syndrome of identity crisis. It will continue until you turn within to the only true source of fulfillment and develop an active relationship with supreme reality. Begin now to cultivate your spiritual sensitivity to the presence. Talk to Spirit in the language of your heart and notice how sweetly and eagerly it responds to you. Today, know that the Spirit delights in bestowing heavenly treasures upon you. If you're callous to the truth that Spirit stands at the door and knocks, how shall it come into your experience? Cultivate sensing and knowing that Spirit longs to fully give itself to you. Live, move, and have your awareness in this reality, and you will come to understand what Jesus meant when he said, "It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." The door of receptivity opens from the inside. Today, swing it wide open and expect a blessing that will fill your heart to overflowing. Our affirmation to take into our contemplation time this morning. I sense the presence at the center of my being, my mind, heart, and soul. Drink deeply from this divine well and forever quench my thirst. So I invite you to close your eyes if you haven't already and take a breath. And as we do, drink deeply from the divine well. Just begin to focus on your breath. Relax in the chair. And just be fully present to your breath, to Spirit, to Source. I sense the presence at the center of my being. My mind, heart, and soul drink deeply from this divine well and forever quench my thirst. How good it is that we come together on Sunday mornings in this time of meditation and quiet. I invite you to take a breath and to bring your awareness back into your body, into the room. Feel your feet on the floor and the chair supporting you. And when you're ready, open your eyes as this concludes our meditation time. Namaste.
Wow, you follow directions so well.
What was that?
Let me go get him one. Our flip was headed for the sun. I just.
Well, I have to have my company in that.
I can stay with you.
We're having music issues. Let me restart this.
One moment, please. Technical difficulties?
You can listen, yeah, go there. Have a brief intermission.
Brief intermission. Sorry, folks at home, they're with us. Okay, we'll get started without.
I'm awake.
Come together, heart and soul as we love together. Young and old, we will sing together, together in one song. Come together, from different worlds we are drawn together. In our own way we can pray together. Together we are strong. I see God in you. You see God in me. One path, one vision, one family. Come together, dreams and hands we will join together to build a place we can grow together. Together we are whole.
Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. How are you? You look festive. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yay, wearing of the green. Welcome, everyone joining us online this morning. We're delighted that you found us in virtual community and hope that you find us to your liking. For anyone who is joining us for the very first time today, we welcome you wherever you may be on your spiritual journey and hope that you will come back and see us again. And we have broadcast this morning to Facebook and YouTube. So if you miss and you are away and you have internet service, you can watch while on the road. You can also go to our website during the week. Those videos are posted and you can go back and review them. Or it's a great way to refer friends and family to our community to explore our website, which is packed with information, as well as these videos that you can go back to and see what's happening in our community. And you can like us on Facebook. You can let your friends and family know you're here on Facebook by telling them where you are this morning and how much fun you're having and how they need to come and join you. Right? Yes. Okay. Good stuff. And we have great community here, of course, and we have a wonderful mission, vision, and purpose. And I'd like to speak it into our service this morning. Would you join me, please? Our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and community transformation. Our vision is a world that works for everyone. Our purpose is to awaken to our spiritual magnificence. And so it is. Well, before we get into good news this morning, I have on my podium a certificate for Miss Kimberly Hauser for your successful completion of Change Your Thinking and Change Your Life. Congratulations. Thank you. All right. And in the good news, did you know America has an Amazon? Not the company. Aw. Have you ever heard of the Everglades? Yes. Anybody been there? Yes. Did you get mosquito bite? Anyway. So there's a place that's called Land Between the Rivers, and we call that the American Amazon, and it has now been preserved forever. 8,000 acres of pristine wetlands where the Alabama and the Tombigbee rivers join, known as the Mobile Delta. It was purchased for $15 million for the purpose of conservation. The owners chose to sell to the Nature Conservancy rather than the timber industry that had planning to log in the area. They intend to keep it open for public access, and there will continue to be some responsible logging that happens there as well. So it's a great balance. And they're still working out the preservation plan. There's a management plan that has to go with that. So that's in the works. But that's really pretty cool that it's now preserved forever. And we have another preserved wetlands area. And, it's a place we might like to visit because we're so dry here in the summer. We can go visit the wetlands. All right. So let's get started with our service. Would you join me in prayer? As we go within, we take our breath and we relax into that breath, moving to that place within us that is peace, that place within us that is the divine, that place within us that is nothing but pure love. And we just breathe deeply into that. And as we do, we are surrounded by that infinite love and recognition that that's all there is. And that's God, that spirit, that source. It's the energy of the universe. It's the essence and presence of all creation. All of that love, all of that power, that presence, that intelligence and wisdom, that harmony, all of that is right here now present, in, through, and as me as an expression of it. And as I know that for myself, I know that for each one of us gathered here today, whether in the room or online, listening later. We're united in this wholeness and this oneness that is this love that is God, that is the universal energy and the perfection of the universe. And we're created of that, each one of us, whole, perfect, and complete, as spiritual beings having this human experience. We are one. And so from this place of oneness, I speak my word for and about each of us, knowing that we've come together this morning by absolute divine appointment. There are no mistakes or accidents ever. It is all by divine appointment, divine right action. We are gathered in this place of celebration, this place of community where we can come together and celebrate this thing we call God, this teaching we call science of mind, each other and the love that we feel for each other and for humankind in general. And we take this forward into our week, into our world, touching lives, bringing our peace to the hearts and minds of all we reach. I speak my word also this morning for all faith traditions, knowing that there are many traditions and many ways and only one God, one source, but many, many paths to reach it. And we just bless and affirm each and every one of those paths, whatever they may be, knowing that they all lead us home to the one love of which we are each made manifest. I'm so grateful for this time together, this center each and every one that is joining us live and online and ever in this community, who's ever been here, is here, and is ever coming here. For there is no separation. So with gratitude and thanksgiving, I release this into the action of law, knowing that it is done. It is so. And we accept and affirm this manifestation together by saying, and so it is.
You are blessed.
You are a blessing.
You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are blessed. You are a blessing. You are a blessing. You are a blessing.
Good morning, friends. You all look so green and beautiful. Yay for that. Okay. Trust forgiveness. Let's see. True forgiveness is when you can say thank you for that experience. And that's by Oprah Winfrey. And I have to say, this is Bob and my birthday month. And so we can look back and say, you know, the things that we thought were awful, when you kind of live through them and you kind of look from the other side, they really helped you grow as an individual. And so I'm very thankful for that and grateful for that. Does anybody else have any gratitude they want? It's just bubbling up and you want to share?
I'll go.
Oh, good.
I have the mic anyways.
Yeah, you got it.
I am super grateful because I had an amazing job interview on Monday and was offered the job on Thursday.
Ooh.
And I start on the 25th, so I'm extremely grateful. I'm excited for the future with this company.
Yay, congratulations.
Anybody else?
Do I need to use that? I do.
You can come up here.
I'm grateful because, well, without the foundations class, I wouldn't be where I am today with finding myself and being grateful for all of you and for all that is abundant in my life right now. I'm thankful for my boyfriend. And yesterday, I bought my first new car all by myself.
Woo! And I'm grateful because Eileen has accepted the appointment to be a announcer next in April one day. So we're just excited about that. So, okay, let's see. So March 31st is Easter Sunday, and it is our 9th anniversary of Scottsdale CSL. That's so exciting. We're all just so happy about that. So we're going to be celebrating with a potluck in the courtyard. And so please sign up to bring up a dish to share. And so we're all welcome. You can bring friends if you'd like. And mark your calendar for Wednesday, April 3rd. It's our quarterly visioning with Reverend Jill on Zoom. You know, I don't know how to do Zoom. Pardon? No, but I mean, if I don't, maybe somebody else doesn't either. So we might, if anybody doesn't know how to Zoom, we'll all get together and figure it out. Okay, so let's just see if there's anything else here. So all are welcome to participate in this special spiritual practice. And we're looking for hosts for our Gourmet for God fundraiser. And you can see Valerie or any of our board members, and we can tell you about it. We also have information in the front in a binder about what people have done in the past. It doesn't have to be food. It can be just a getting together, and that will really be a lot of fun. Let's see. And our next fundraising event is Friday, April 13th. Valerie and Bev are hosting a Taste of Italy and wine pairing. Wow. It will be held right here in our CSL courtyard and include delectable Italian small plates and perfect wines to match. And our special guest will be wine enthusiast Michael Zaglul. Is that how it's pronounced? Zaglul? Something like that. Who will share his wine knowledge and help us better understand wine um, tasting techniques. April 13th, 4:30 to 7:30, and the starting bid would be $30. So sign up in the lobby. And that would really be good because I'd always go to look for the cheapest. And maybe he would say that's probably not the best. So, anyway, we'll figure that out. And our spiritual education classes continue, and we'll be offering the Art and Science of Spiritual Mind treatment beginning April 11th. This 8-week class explores the principles and practices of science of mind with an emphasis on the daily use of spiritual mind treatment. If you would like to learn more about applying affirmative prayer to heal, overcome challenges, and change the conditions of your life and for others, join Reverend Lee for this empowering class. It's $200 plus $40 to CSL for class registration. Payment plans are available. And after Reverend Lee's talk this morning, he'll open the mic for your questions and comments about today's topic. We have a basket of pens and paper in the lobby that if you want to write down any questions you think you might want to ask. And we love music at Scottsdale CSL, and today we are continuing our soundtrack videos from the 2000 movie Jesus Christ Superstar, sung by the new cast of the show. Reverend Lee's message today will look at the metaphysical principles associated with the clip as it relates to the spiritual practice of forgiveness. Today's song is The Arrest, sung by Glenn Carter as Jesus and Jerome Pradon as Judas. Thank you.
There he is. They're all asleep.
Good morning. I know that was a lot, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a lot. Well, good morning. Good morning. So, just saw the arrest, the betrayal, and how did Jesus handle himself in all that? Neutral, compassionate. I mean, even there at the end, as he was walking out, and he was leaving Caiaphas, he looked at Judas and put his hand on his chest, and it was like he was forgiving him in that moment. It's okay. Forgiveness is such a powerful, powerful tool. And how do we get there? Every time I think about the story, I have to put myself in that position and go, how would I handle that? How would I feel if all my friends, and they're just playing their role. And Judas and Jesus were close. They were tight for the years that they were together. They side by side, walking the road, teaching, learning, growing together, doing all the things. And then in the end, Judas, looking at the landscape of things, says, you know what? It's time for, I think from a certain point of view, there was time for the prophecies to come true. And Judas saw his role and was like, okay, I'm going to do, this is my part. And Jesus, from a certain point of view, foresaw his part, foresaw what he was doing, and he knew what he had to do. And even in the midst of all that, it's like, what would I do? What is the lesson in all of this for me? If I'm feeling betrayed, if I'm feeling put upon, if I'm feeling like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to walk through this. Like as I was sitting down to write this talk, I was sharing with Reverend Jill earlier, I roll the ideas around in my head all week or for a couple weeks ahead of time. And then I sit down on Friday to start putting stuff on paper. And I fought it and I struggled it and things, life kind of kept getting in the way. And finally I was like, what's going on here? Because it usually flows a lot easier. And it's like, okay, I need to do time to do some self-reflection, some self-examination. What maybe am I holding on to that I need to kind of dig around in my own consciousness and say, okay, what am I holding on to? What do I need to let go of to get out of the way? And once I figured it out, things started to flow and they got on the paper and here we are. The role forgiveness plays in our lives is that it frees up our energy, it frees up our focus, it frees up our emotional nature, our feeling nature. Because it takes energy, it takes focus to hold on to that stuff. And sometimes we've been holding on to it for so long that it's like a habit. And we don't even think about it. And all of a sudden it'll pop up, I know for myself, all of a sudden I'll be going along and something will happen and I get upset and I'm like, why am I so upset about that? That really wasn't that big a thing. Like maybe the dishes don't get done for a couple days. And I get all wound up about it and it's like, why are you so upset, Lee? It has nothing to do with the dishes. Right? It has to do with something else completely. And the dishes just happen to be a convenient trigger and an opportunity for me to get upset. Bernard Meltzer has this to say. When you forgive, you in no way change the past. But you sure do change the future. Now, truth is, we don't change the past. We change our relationship to it, certainly. Because as I go through the process of forgiveness, as I go through the process of discharging the emotional energy I have around a certain event in my past, I go through the process of releasing the sadness, the anger, the self-loathing, the guilt, or whatever it is around what happened in the past, and work through all of that. I've certainly changed my relationship to it. So much so that when that thing happens out here in the world, that all of a sudden I get that up until now I've been triggered about, that instantaneously takes me back to that past event. Anybody else have this experience, or is it just me? All right, just checking. I see a lot of blank stares out in the room, and I'm like, okay, am I just off base or what? No, I'm kidding. Right? And then all of a sudden, I'm a crumbling mess in the corner, sobbing over the dishes not getting done. Really? It's really not about that. It's about me coming face to face with me. It's about me coming face to face with hanging on to whatever it was, hanging on to the absence of forgiveness, or hanging on to the guilt, the anger, the fear, the self-loathing. And in truth, it's all fear. That's a whole other conversation. But letting it go frees me up to be present with what's going on in this moment. Taking a non-resistant attitude about it, like Jesus. Jesus had accepted his place. Jesus had accepted his role, accepted the chain of events that was unfolding in his life. He wasn't pushing back against it. He was no longer in a position of saying, no, 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 no. He'd moved through that in the garden, right? He said, let this cup pass from me. And now he's just not non-resistantly just walking into the chain of events that he knows is going to unfold. Now, in addition to Jesus' story, I went and did some research last night and this morning. All of a sudden, it kind of clicked in that today was St. Patrick's Day. Pardon me, I'm going to lose this jacket because it's really warm up here. I went and looked at St. Patrick. Anybody else done research on St. Patrick? Okay. Steve. All right. But it's a great little story, and that fits in with forgiveness, because St. Patrick, in case you didn't know, St. Patrick as an early teen in Scotland, Great Britain, was kidnapped by raiders from Ireland, transported over to Ireland, and was kept there as a slave, herding sheep for 6 years or so. I didn't know that. And then after 6 years, he escaped, went back, became a clergyman, became a priest, and eventually became a bishop, and then got a calling to go back to Ireland on mission to the people in Ireland, to bring them into the church. Now imagine the degree of forgiveness and love he had to have embraced in his own life in order to do that. To go back and share the message, to share love, to bring the people of Ireland as much as he could into the church, because at that time, most of Ireland was pretty much a pagan, earth-based, spiritual tradition, as it were. So he had his work cut out for him. So I found that real interesting and actually pretty inspiring. I'm going to do some more research. I didn't do a deep dive didn't have time to do a deep dive into St. Patrick, but it was very interesting and very good for me to see that it was a very connective story to what we're talking about. Had I been enslaved on an island for 6 years, I think I would have been a little reluctant to go back. But he found it in his heart to do so and to share that love with the people of Ireland. Jessica Lang had this to say about similar about forgiveness. She says, acceptance, tolerance, and forgiveness, these or those, are life-altering lessons. Acceptance, tolerance, and forgiveness. And isn't that what St. Patrick was practicing? Acceptance and tolerance and forgiveness. Because one of the things that he was practicing, that Jesus was practicing, and that we teach and practice here is that life will show up for us as we show up for it. It's like, to the degree that we show up with love and tolerance and forgiveness and acceptance, isn't that what we get met with? Or in the face of anger or upset, in the face of conflict, if I can hold my own place with acceptance and tolerance and compassion, eventually doesn't the rest of that energy settle down? I found that to be true in my life. If I can meet anger with a sense of peace, if I can meet upset with a sense of acceptance and tolerance and patience, if I can pause and breathe rather than instantaneously reacting in fear or upset with that upset, if I can meet it with something different, it settles. If I pause and I breathe, that's an opportunity to meet that conflict with a sense of peace, with a sense of calm, with a sense of acceptance, or even forgiveness may be necessary in those moments if conflict is being presented to me like, you know what, you're really screwed up, and I'm like, wait a minute. No. That's a perception, perhaps, on the behalf of somebody else. And even if I did make a mistake and I get upset about it, if I can breathe through it and say, okay, I made a mistake. That's part of being human. And then I get to learn. Then I get to grow. Then I get to move on and move forward and maybe make my own change and do something differently. Marianne Williamson goes on to say this in one of her essays. She says, forgiveness is not always easy. At times it feels more painful than the wound we have suffered. And yet, there is no peace without forgiveness. Sometimes forgiveness is more painful than the wound we have suffered. Wow. I read that and I went, yeah, I've felt that in my life. Because I get comfortable being angry. I get comfortable holding on to that little piece of leverage I get to hold over that person that did me wrong. And if I'm holding on to that and that's all that is happening inside of me, is that other person feeling it? No. No, they're not. Who's the one feeling all that? Who's the one feeling all that self-righteous anger and upset and na 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 neener 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 neener, all that nonsense? And it is. And yes, I'm talking to me too. Who's the one experiencing all that? Where's all that happening? It's happening right here. It's happening in my world. It's not happening. It's probably not happening in their. They've probably forgotten all about it, whatever that thing was. They've moved on, chances are. And if they haven't, it's still only happening in my world. Because odds are I'm not talking to them about it. I'm not sending them an email chewing them out or leaving them nasty little voicemails on their phone or whatever. None of that's happening. All we have is distance. All we have is a disconnect between me and somebody else that maybe, just maybe, if I let it go, what happens? If I let it go, chances are I'm going to be more peaceful. Chances are I'm going to feel better about me. And just maybe, I will feel better about them. And maybe I will have more love in my life because I will have one more possible loving connection where up until now I had a connection that was what? Full of conflict. Yeah, negative. That was a drain on me. So rather than it being a drain on me, maybe it's a source of love and support. Or maybe it's just neutral. And even if it's just neutral, it's better than this. Right? So, do I want to have a collection of drains over here? Or would I rather have a whole collection of loving, supportive, celebratory relationships? And the occasional little neutral one thrown in. With the potential to be loving and supportive and so on and so forth. You follow? What's possible? What's possible if I open myself to that? So I have two questions for us this morning. Here's the first. The first question is, you ready? How can I get out of my own way? Kind of the inverse of that. Another way to look at that is, how am I getting in my own way? How am I stopping myself from forgiving? So I chose to reframe it a little bit differently. It's how can I get out of my own way when it comes to forgiveness? How can I get out of my own way when it comes to holding on to things that are just dragging me back? Because if I have an attachment to some situation, to some position, that is a source of anger, resentment, self-loathing, guilt, fear, upset, any situation in my past that is just a trigger, and those triggers are self-created, by the way, right? And we get to move them around or just disengage from them if we want. If we're willing to do the work, the question is, how can I get out of my own way? And we all have our own little tools that work best for us. And and if you want some more tools, you can come talk to me, come talk to Reverend Jill or any other handful of people that may be in this space. We have a lot of really smart people in our community. Prayer, meditation, journaling, reading, classes, just finding somebody to just talk to. Somebody that you can sit down with and say, you know what? Because sometimes I need this, because this is the way I work. The way I figure stuff out is by talking a lot. If I can find somebody to just say, look, I just need you to sit there and listen to me. I need to talk this out. And I'll start talking, and all of a sudden, I'll figure something out. You've seen me stand here on Sunday morning and figure stuff out on more than one occasion. Like, oh my gosh, that's really good. Somebody write that down. But that's the beauty of community, right? Is surrounding ourselves with people that will love and support us, that will listen to us, or that will say, look, Lee, you're being really stupid right now. Can you just stop? I like that. You can be nicer about it. You know what I mean? You get the idea, right? Because more often than not, we're just in our own way. We're holding on to a position that is not serving us anymore. And that's kind of part two, the second question. Part two is, what am I holding on to? Yeah. What am I holding on to that has kept me bound? It's kind of another way of looking at the same question. What am I holding on to that has kept me bound? Because if I'm holding on to something about somebody else, the only one bound by that, the only one tied up by that, the only one held back by that is me. It is me. So if I'm holding on to guilt, if I'm holding on to self-loathing, if I'm holding on to fear, anger, resentment, all of this stuff, go home and I invite you to go home and make a list of all the stuff you're angry about, all the stuff you're fearful about. And ask the question, how do I let it go? One at a time. How do I let it go? Because for starters, that's the path to freedom. You journal about it, you pray about it, call a practitioner about it, call a friend about it, whatever it takes. Because those things, that list, that's the stuff that's holding us back. And walking through those things one at a time, because sometimes I've made that list and it looked like an elephant, right? What did Desmond Tutu say? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Just little bites. It took us how many years to create that list? It's not going to disappear overnight. But we can make progress. We can make a little bit of progress every day because this is the path to freedom. This is the path that Jesus walked. This is the path that St. Patrick walked. This is the path that we can walk. We can choose to be love. We can choose to be free. We can choose to be the one that simply lets go of the anger and the fear and the resentment and the self-loathing and the guilt, all of it. Because we have the opportunity in the face of all of that to, rather than hold on to it, rather than to get locked into a position that we've held for so long, it's become so comfortable, so automatic, where we can choose love. As I was walking out the door, or getting ready to walk out the door this morning, I was looking for another book that I found and gave to Steve. And this other book popped up, this book that we used last year, Deep Kindness by Houston Kraft. And it flipped open to this page. I kid you not. This is the way my world works. Probably yours too, I would imagine. And he's talking about kindness. We talked about deep kindness. And it was just a wonderful month last year. We talked about kindness, the work of acknowledging of what gets in the way of kindness. So you can take the word kindness out and insert the whole concept of forgiveness. Okay? Sometimes the most challenging, messy, and self-confrontational piece of the emotional maturity puzzle. If we don't know what skills to build, what questions to ask, or what internal clarity is needed to exercise forgiveness with fullness and persistence, then we might end up stuck practicing what he calls confetti kindness in perpetuity. The point of what he's getting to, this is where the Desmond Tutu quote came up again, because it's that it feels like a massive undertaking. And so what does one bite at a time look like? He says, with kindness. And I'm talking about forgiveness, and I think this still applies. He says, did you know that 45% of our day is built on routine? Do you realize that? 45% of your day is built on routine. That means 45% of our week is habit-based, which means 45% of our month is habitual, which means that almost half our lives are spent on autopilot. What portion of that 45% is the habit we have created around unforgiveness, around the things we have held on to? So the question for me is, what's possible for me or for you if I really take the time to do the deep work necessary to clear out all that unforgiveness, to clear out all that resentment, all that anger, and imagine just how free I could be if I let all that go? How much opportunity might I have if I emptied this side of that equation and moved it all over here? How much more love might I have? How much more joy might I have? How much more enthusiasm, magic, serendipitous moments? How much more love might I have? How much more ability might I have to have deep, meaningful, loving connections with more people in my life? Were I that free? Wow. What's possible with all of that? And from a certain point of view, in my own mind and my own heart, it's a matter of saying, it's not so much focusing on this stuff, this nonsense, all this chaos over here, but it's focusing on the love and saying, okay, you know what? I am just going to simply open myself up to a greater, more expanded experience of love. And when this stuff pops up, I'm just going to say, no more. I'm done. Rather than all this, I'm just going to choose love. I'm going to choose to allow myself to be just non-resistant, to let the fear wash over me, to let the doubt and uncertainty just wash over me, the self-loathing, the guilt, the shame. I'm just going to let it all go. Because rather than that experience, I'm simply going to choose love and all its cousins to be part of my life. One final quote this morning from a pastor. I used to listen, when I lived in Texas, I would just I don't know how I found him, but he was pretty awesome, and I loved listening to this man, T.D. Jakes, Pastor T.D. Jakes. And he says, we cannot embrace God's forgiveness if we are so busy clinging to the past wounds and nursing old grudges. It's that simple. Just let him go. Just let him go. Of course, he says it much more passionately than I did, but because that's his way. Not holding on to him anymore. Just going to let him go. Just going to let them go. So, practicing principles is very straightforward, very simple, and then we'll get into the open mic. Practice forgiveness. Sometimes a good question is more valuable than a dozen answers. This week, you're invited to explore the two questions that I mentioned in the talk this morning. Use them as your own journal prompts if you like. How do I get out of my own way? And what am I holding on to that has kept me bound? So I invite you to embrace these two questions this week. Sometimes living in the question is far more powerful than somebody handing us a bunch of answers. Okay? With that, it's up to you. And I'm just going to talk directly to the people online for a moment. You can type, if you have a question for somebody online, our online community, if you have a question, type it into the chat and we'll read it into the room. Yes, Penny. Yes, yeah, ready. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, when you started talking, what came up for me was I have two sisters, and one we don't talk about or talk to because she's unhappy, so she's mean. And we being me, my other sister, I don't know how to let. I don't think about her unless something's said or something, which is seldom.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I'm still mad at her because whenever she happens to talk to my other sister, which is seldom,
Mm-hmm.
she's still mad at me. So she keeps bringing. I mean, she's mad at me. She's so mad at me for something I did when I was 16. So that's what came up. So I don't know what to do with her because I don't talk to her. She called me on my birthday a few years ago, and we hadn't talked for 10 years. And so I looked at the clock and I looked, thought, okay, can I talk to her right now? And I did. I let her talk for 20 minutes and then hung up. Whatever, that's fine. Let it go. And then the next year she expected me to call on her birthday, but I didn't. So then when she had to call my other sister last year about somebody who died, she brought up about she's mad at me still. Just, I don't know.
Okay. What occurs to me is that let me ask a quick question. So, are you upset with her? No. Does it feel like a drain for you when you think about her?
It bothers me that she's still angry.
Okay. So she's angry. You're not angry. You're not angry. Okay. Do you feel responsible for her upset? No. I'm just checking. So she's choosing this path. And so all we can do, all you can do, right, in this situation is to simply love her because it's a choice she's making to be upset. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's sad. Yeah. Right. And so all I can do is have love and compassion for her. Right. So thank you. It's a good question because I'm sure you're not the only one in this space with a situation like that. So thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody online? Let me see. I'm looking. Okay.
I don't know if the situation is, I mean, it's not the same. Maybe there's some similarities, but I've had a rather contentious relationship with my sister over the years, sometimes great, sometimes not speaking to each other. And I decided I didn't like that situation anymore. So whatever the last thing was that happened, in your case, something when you were 16, I really considered what part of that situation, because of course I was right, but what part of that situation can I take responsibility for? Because there's two people and there's responsibility, and it's maybe not 100%, but maybe there's some little percentage that I found in mine actually that I could take responsibility for. And then one day I mustered up the courage to apologize. And it was so simple. And just like magic, we have a great relationship again. So I don't know if that's helpful or not.
So I did try that. I apologized twice to her, and I went up and hugged her, and she said she forgave me. Yeah, of course, it's something. I locked the door before she was trying to get in it. Big deal.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Val. Anybody else? One more? All right. Let's take it all into prayer then. Thank you, everybody. One more. Okay. Okay. Let's take this all into prayer and remember with me that God is all there is. We call it divine life, call it source, call it God, call it infinite mind, infinite love, all of these things. All these words to describe something that is so infinite and so expansive that it is all there is. And so it is in this that we live and move and have our being, and it in us, as us, through each and every one of us, right here, right now, in this moment, the very breath we breathe, closer to us than our hands and our feet. And so I know for myself and for each and every one of us here, for those of us listening online, watching online now or later, I know first and foremost that all is well, that life is good and very good. And we name that good, for our good is our God. And our God is life and love and truth. It is beauty, health, and wholeness. It is prosperity, perfect and right order in all our ways and all our days. And this is true for each and every one of us. And so anywhere up until now where there may have been some upset in some way, shape, or form, we know there is now peace. We know there is joy. We know there is love. It is right here where we are. It is with every breath, every thought, every activity. It is love forever growing and expanding in, through, and as each and every one of us. And it is reflected back to us in every experience. It is uplifting. It is enlivening. It is enthusiasm itself in all of our ways and each and every day. And right now we set aside all that has gone before and we claim love. We claim wholeness. We receive it and we accept it. We know that truly we are forgiven and that all is well and we are free. And so we let it be. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Reverend Lee. Beautiful message this morning. And it's time for our grateful giving now this morning. And we practice our affirmative spirituality. Ernest Holmes, our founder and the author of The Science of Mind that we teach from, tells us the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of universal energy. In our willingness to give what we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives, whether that is love or forgiveness or peace or money. It is all a dynamic exchange. So I invite everyone in the room and online to join in our affirmative spirituality practice this morning, our grateful giving. And you can do so with online. Go to our website. There's a donate button. You'll be offered the opportunity to make that recurring if you would like, so that it's an automatic deduction. And then you get a tithe ticket that you can put in the basket, since your deduction will come out automatically. We also have a prosperity program called Money Finders. And that's where you pay attention to all the serendipitous or unexpected good that comes into your life. And I usually keep a running total on the back and tithe 10% here, keep 90%. It's a good exchange. And it proves the principle what we focus on expands in our life. And focusing on prosperity in some area of our lives is a good thing to focus on. If you are making a cash donation today and would like credit for that, we are a 501c nonprofit, and we send giving statements at the end of the year. If anyone didn't get your giving statement, let me know. We'll make sure that you get your copy. And just make sure I have your name and your email address so we can get you that at the end of this year. We have added Zelle to our donation opportunity now to make it easier. I know a lot of us are using Zelle for more transactions, so we have that capability. We have a QR code that you still uses PayPal, and we'll take credit cards, checks, and cash. And Penny's our usher this morning to come around and do curbside, as they say. So if you are comfortable, hold your gift over your heart and join me in our affirmation. I am an open channel through which prosperity flows. I accept the divine flow of goodness, ideas, and substance through me now. I am grateful for my full and prosperous life, and so it is.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
Please join me in blessing that which has been circulated here today from our message, our music, our offering through this community, the love, the joy, the hugs, the smiles, all of the connection that we've had here today. We are so blessed to be able to come together in this community each and every Sunday. I know each that has chosen to give this day, that gift is blessed, pressed down to overflowing in their lives and in the life of this center. A Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living is a grateful receiver for all of the abundance that comes to us each and every day. We are so blessed, so grateful, and so it is. A few closing announcements. If you would like prayer today, Reverend Lee and I are available for prayer. And rumor has it, our traveling practitioner will be back at the end of the month. Yay! So, Daniel, if you're watching, we can't wait to see you. And we do have the prayer chest in the front. If you'd like to leave a written prayer request there, Lee and I take those home and pray with you. You can also leave a prayer request 24/7 on our website. We all three get those and do pray with you. So if there's something that's on your heart at any time, day or night, you can go right there and we'll pick that prayer up. Easter Sunday is coming up on the 31st, yes, and we have a 9th anniversary celebration and party in the courtyard after service, potluck. Everybody's welcome for that. So please sign up in the lobby to bring a dish to share. And you can also sign up at the front desk to register for Reverend Lee's April class and also Valerie and Beverly's Taste of Italy event that comes up on the 13th of April. Yay! It is 4:30. Yes, it's 4:30. And also, rumor has it that our improv group will be back in May. Yeah, so that's a wonderful event for us as well. And next Sunday, we'll be right back. And I'm back up here talking about the scope of forgiveness in Father, Forgive Them. And we're going to look at forgiveness in the heat of the moment. Always fun to forgive in the middle of the emotional challenge. Yay! Oh my gosh. So come and join us for that. Please stand for our affirmation and our closing song. I live in peace and share my joy. I am empowered by spiritual truth. Today I embrace a peaceful heart. And so it is.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, gotta let it go. Gotta let it all go. Are you listening? You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release, I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No, 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 no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release, I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No, no, no more struggle.